Good evening and welcome to the Honeoye Falls-Lima campus here in the village of Honeoye Falls. Tonight we have Section 5 football live on the MHFL Sentinel. I'm Peter Carosa, joined alongside Steve Bradley for tonight's game between the Monroe Red Jackets and the home Honeoye Falls-Lima Cougars. Steve, one of these teams played a week ago. That was the Cougars. Monroe, this is their first game of the season. Talk a little bit about that HFL game last week.
So HFL traveled down to Section 4 and played Waverly, which was the semifinalist in the state Class C semifinals last year. Awesome atmosphere, Coach Russ said, and the Cougars ended up coming up on the short end of the stick with a 41-19 loss. But Coach Russ, John Russ from Honeoye Falls-Lima, was actually pretty pleased with the way the team played, with except for a quick stretch in the second quarter.
So we have the visiting Monroe Red Jackets introduced here at HFL. Meanwhile, the Cougars will be coming out of the south end zone.
Looks like they got a new tunnel bubble this year, Peter, too.
It does appear that way as we try and get a live look here at the new inflatable tunnel here at James Dollar Athletic Stadium as the Cougars come out of the tunnel for the first time.
Captain or Senior Austin Krigo carrying the HFL flag as the Cougars run out with enthusiasm. Their home opener, they had the long trip down to the southern tier. And Coach Russ said it was like playing a game in Pennsylvania. There was a huge crowd. They had a parade in the afternoon, and he said it was an all-around great atmosphere. Monroe, Coach Terrell Cunningham, they didn't play last week. One of three teams in Class B in Section 5 that did not play. But he's been gearing up all summer. He says, well, you wonder if it's an advantage or a disadvantage. Honeoye Falls-Lima has kind of those preseason kinks out of the way. Monroe has not taken the field against an opponent yet. But on the other hand, Coach Cunningham told me we've had 3.5 weeks to prepare for HFL. They're going to get our best shot.
So with both teams introduced, we'll have the national anthem played here at HFL, followed by the coin toss. Tonight's anthem will be a pre-recorded version on the broadcast by the HFL Select Choir.
Oh, say, can you see? Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And with that, we are ready for the coin toss. But first, keys to the game brought to you by Bullfinch Fund. Key number 1, bend but don't break. That's something that we know both these teams are going to want to achieve defensively. They'll let you nickel and dime them downfield, but when it comes to the big home run plays and in the red zone, that's where they're going to tighten up.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Peter. These teams played twice last year late in the season. The regular season matchup was won by Monroe 26-7, and the postseason was a 12-7 game, so very close. So the defense, a lot of yardage for both teams, but punching the ball in the end zone is really going to be a key tonight. The team that's able to finish drives, and it sounds obvious, is going to have a distinct advantage.
And the last key to the game brought to you by Bullfinch Fund. Now's the time to learn. We talked to both these coaches, both with title contention expectations. This is the first game for Monroe. This is the second game for HFL. Now's the time to make the mistakes, to learn to better yourselves for a stretch run into sectionals. and both teams expected to
contend
and have a little bit of learning moments tonight.
Right. Yeah, we mentioned with Monroe being the first time out. Monroe has a lot of talent. Peter, their one player, Messiah Hampton, number 7. Messiah Hampton, number 7. Number 2, Messiah Hampton. He's got 9 college offers right now, and he's a sophomore. So a ton of talent, but the pre-snap things, the penalties, and just the alignment and the assignments is everybody on the same page, because in practice you can stop and go back. In a game, you're playing full speed. If you make a mistake, you're dealing with the consequences.
So here's the coin toss called by Monroe. Looks like HFL deferred potentially. As the two teams line up, we'll get the indication. So HFL won the toss. They deferred. They're going to kick off. So we'll see the Monroe offense here first at HFL.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a dynamic Monroe offense. We're looking at potential playmakers for Monroe. You keep your eyes on number 1, Styles Mackenzie Baker, number 2, Messiah Hampton, who I mentioned before. Number 5, Landon McKnight, had 14 touchdown catches last year, Peter. And the quarterback is Kaya Moses. He's a senior. He's a leader. And then the bruising running back linebacker, a guy whose name you're probably going to call a lot tonight, Nazir Wilson, number 34.
So this opening kickoff brought to you by Alexander Enterprises. Alexander Enterprises specializes in home remodeling, renovations, additions, kitchens, bathrooms, garages, new builds, decks, and painting. Give them a call before you start your next project at 624-9120.
And as we have the camera on midfield, the officials are gathered. We'll run them down for you tonight. The referee is David Ashley. The umpire is Peter Lagaris. The line judge is John Magero. He's the linesman. The line judge is Ed Goolsby, and the back judge is Greg George.
So kicking off for the Cougars will be number 6 senior quarterback Matt Meacham. Back deep to return from Monroe. Hard to tell, but it looks like number 5 Landon McKnight is back there by himself. Beautiful night here, and you can see on the screen sun is starting to set, getting some pretty good glare here in the press box. We'll do our best. As the game progresses, we should get more favorable conditions. Friday night football back here in Western New York.
And, Peter, I might be surprised if we see Meacham kick this all the way back to McKnight. We watched a little film on Waverly, and HFL tends to like that little pop-up kick that lands around the 30, 35-yard line of the opponent.
And the kick is away. End-over-end kick. Going to be fielded by McKnight. Inside his own 20. He'll take it out. Got some running room in front of him. He'll be tackled at about the 35-yard line.
Nice job there by number 22 for the Cougars, Paul Yacobucci. Paul stayed in his lane, made a nice tackle. McKnight had a running start. Still a 20-yard return. But good job by the Cougars, and Monroe takes over.
So as the Cougar defense comes out on the field, player to watch tonight, brought to you by Bullfinch Fund. Aaron Fasek, middle linebacker tonight here for the Cougars. Something that was a big storyline coming into this one is the Cougars having to replace or reload at the middle linebacker position. Carson Joint had been a fixture of that defensive front for 3 consecutive years for HFL. Fasek trying to pick up where Joint left off. As we have a quick pass to the near side for Monroe. Some running room in front of him. This is number 15, Amari Colon, and he's going to go the distance on the first play. We talked about limiting the home run plays, and that's a home run for the Red Jackets to start this one.
And Coach Terrell Cunningham told me in the pregame conversation, I said, is there anybody that we should keep our eye on that we don't know about? He said Amari Colon. He said Amari Colon could be one of the most electrifying players in Section 5. First offensive snap, he goes the distance.
So Monroe jumping out to a very early 6-0 lead as they will line up for the point after attempt.
And, Peter, that's exactly what Coach Russ was a little bit concerned of. They had a little bit of trouble with their alignment on passing last week, and on the first play, Cologne got lost, and he took it all the way.
Monroe lining up, going for 2 here after the opening score. Snap, quick pass, and that's caught by number 2, Messiah Hampton. So the 2-point conversion good for Monroe as they jump out to an 8-0 lead here at HFL.
Yeah, and just a really rough start here for the Cougars. The first play from scrimmage, you're coming out, you're excited, it's opening night, and 19 seconds into the ball game, you find yourself down 8-0. So this will be a real test of character to see how Honeoye Falls-Lima responds to this adversity.
Dealing with some technical difficulties. Didn't have a preseason or a scrimmage to practice, Steve, tonight. So we're going to be working through some things here to start. But as we'll have another kickoff brought to you by Alexander Enterprises. Alexander Enterprises specialize in home remodeling, renovations, additions, kitchens, bathrooms, garages, new builds, decks, and painting. Give them a call before you start your next project at 624-9120.
And just a little bit more on Amari Colon, Peter. Runs a 4.41 40-yard dash. So we saw that speed getting down the sideline, too. And again, the word that Coach Cunningham used was electrifying, and he really electrified Monroe right here.
So here's the Red Jackets kick, end over end, fielded by Patrick Donahoe for the Cougars. And he's going to be dropped at about the 30-yard line. So we'll take a look at the instant replay here on that kickoff.
And the Cougars glad to have Donahoe back. He was not able to play in the opener. He's a versatile running back who did a lot of things last year, both in the receiving game and the run game.
And the offensive player to watch here for HFL, senior quarterback Matt Meacham, completed over 3/4 of his passes a week ago, over 300 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and a rating above 100.
And I think we need to point out that the Cougars will be without one of their top receivers tonight, senior Andrew Wanzenreed. He's on the sideline in shorts. He's been recovering from an injury. He's not quite ready to go tonight. But Matt Meacham, he's got the experience. I don't expect him to hold back at all. He'll just have to spread the ball around a little bit differently than he did last year.
So already a miscue there early by the Cougars. Didn't have enough players on the field as they will elect to hand off to Donahoe to start their offensive possession. He's going to be tackled in the backfield short of a yard.
Yeah, great penetration there by the Monroe defense. You see number 52 and number 54 there kind of got the push and were able to close that hole before it opened. 52 is Jakir Maxim and 54 is Deshaun Constantine.
So it looks like just back to the line, 2nd and 10 for HFL. They come out in a trips formation to the bottom of your screen. Meacham collects the snap. Looking, screenplay. He's got Cook. Cook's got a good block in front of him. First down and more out towards midfield. That's a HFL first down brought to you by Honeoye Falls Marketplace. HFMP is proud to be celebrating 40 years of commitment to nourishing HFL athletes and their families.
The screen pass has been a staple in the HFL playbook for a long time, but you can see kind of the growth of Ben Cook right there. Last year they didn't run that play to him a lot. Second play of the season, little center screen, first down. Cougars are moving the football.
And a pass play falls incomplete there. Dangerously thrown there.
Yeah, good pressure again by the Monroe defense. Number 8, I believe that's Robert Arnold in the backfield, putting pressure on Matt Meacham.
Here's a look at the front 5 for the Cougars. Pistol formation now for HFL. Here's the swing pass to Cook. Makes the first man miss, lowers his head, and he's going to be about 2 yards short of the first down. Brings up 3rd and about 2.
Another nice catch and run there for Ben Cook. Matt Meacham got the ball out quick. Monroe's put pressure on all 3 pass plays, so the Cougars are going to need to make quick reads and quick decisions with the football.
And here's a look at the skill position players for the Cougars. Facing 3rd and 2 here, inside Monroe territory. 2 running backs in the backfield. And we have some pre-snap movement.
This will be interesting, Peter. There was movement on both sides of the line. How's the call going to go?
Dead ball spot. False start on the Cougars, so that'll push them back 5.
And that 3rd and 2, which is very manageable, becomes 3rd and 7, so it may change the play call here. Part of that, too, Peter, may be just the early pressure that Monroe's been able to generate. HFL linemen want to fire off on their blocks, got a little anxious, just moved a little too soon.
3rd and 7 from the Cougars. They come out in the same formation. Hand off to number 0. That's Connor Finn for HFL. He'll fall ahead, maybe back to the line of scrimmage.
And we did see Matt Meacham taking the punting duties in warm-up, so he stays on the field, but he's dropped back far enough, Peter, that I think Coach Russ with a 3rd and 8 here is gonna punt the ball away.
So interesting, the Cougars elect to run there. Maybe if they had gotten some more, it was going to be go for it on 4th down, but instead they bring the special teams unit out on the field. Meacham with his heels at about his own 38. Here's the punt. Spiral high towards the far sideline, takes an HFL bounce inside the 20, still rolling, and goes out of bounds inside the 10-yard line. So Monroe will set up 1st and 10 from their own 9-yard line.
Nice 41-yard there, nice 41-yard punt there by Matt Meacham. He was punting from about that spot in warm-ups, and he got a little more distant on the other punts and warm-ups, but he got a great bounce there, and I think the Cougars will take that. Now it's the defense's job to get the ball back.
So if you missed the first couple plays of this one, it was Monroe who had a 1-play, 60-yard touchdown pass play. They'll look to follow it up with this offensive possession. They went for 2. They're leading 8-0.
So the Cougars here, you just have to settle in and recover, have a short memory. 1 play, 65 yards. Now you just got to do your job here and make it tough on Monroe.
So after the great punt by Meacham, Monroe's first play inside their 10-yard line is a handoff to Tamir Mullins, who cuts it up and works his way up for a 1st down.
Yep, Mullins gets a good blocking. The side of the line moves, makes a tackler miss about the 10-yard line, and is able to get 10 more yards.
As we take a look at the starting lineup here for the Cougars, defensive line, as well as outside linebacker Harrison Hoole. We'll take a look at the rest of this starting defensive team for the Cougars after this play. 1st and 10, as we have a stoppage in play. No flag thrown. Looks like it's an official timeout.
Asking for a reset on the 25-second clock.
Pass out to the far side. Flag thrown. Going to be about a gain of about 2 or 3 for the Red Jackets. Number, I believe that was that 15 for Monroe?
Was that Cologne? And the flag came from the umpire, so that a lot of times that's holding, Peter. It came right from the center of the field there. And we just showed the graphic on the Cougar defense, and Andrew Wanzenreed was listed as a starter. With him down tonight, Mike Meisenthal, a junior, is probably going to get the reps there at that cornerback position.
Wanzenreed didn't get a chance to play last week either. And it was Meisenthal who stepped up. And we talked with Coach Russ about that, and he was pretty impressed with what Mike Meisenthal brought to the table, as we have 2 penalties, 1 on the offense and 1 on the defense.
But they're they're going to walk off the penalty against the Cougars.
Looks like they might have had the hold walked off.
And it looked like an unsportsmanlike,
and then
maybe?
dead ball unsportsmanlike and walked that off. So both penalties ended up being accounted for. And looks like they're going to ultimately replay the down. So it's going to be
First and
5.
First and 5, 1st and 4. One of those things that you only see in high school where the penalty is offset. You get that kind of awkward down and distance.
So about 8.5 minutes left in the first quarter. Monroe back with the ball. This is their second possession. Another pass play.
Ooh.
And that was nearly intercepted. Harrison Houle, the outside linebacker for the Cougars, was in the vicinity.
Yeah, that's a great drop there by Houle. He just jumps the route, gets the outside hand on it, not able to reel it in. But a big play like that is what the Cougars are looking for. But they got that by following their assignments, not trying to do anything special.
And as we already noted, Andrew Wazenreed not able to play here tonight for the Cougars, and it's Mike Meisensaw filling in for him at defensive back. Far side of the field, number 3, you can see him.
And as you mentioned, Coach Russ has really been impressed with the way that Meisensaw has been all through camp. So he's earned the right to be on the field and play. So just a boost for the Cougars there.
2nd and 5, pass play. This is to Messiah Hampton. Makes the first man miss. Foot race along the near sideline, and he's going to go the distance. So another long touchdown play for the Red Jackets, and it's now 14-0 here.
And that's exactly what Coach Russ was worried about. The Cougar defense went to the inside receiver. The outside receiver breaks a tackle, and that's Hampton. He's got 9 D1 offers, including one from Penn State that just came a couple weeks ago. Once he gets in the open field, you're not going to catch him, and you're not going to tackle him.
So we'll have to see if Monroe again goes for 2. It looks like they are. They were successful on their first 2-point attempt. We'll see if they can do it again. Come out and spread formation. Pass play. Whip route to the far sideline just off the fingertips of number 15, Amari Colon.
And it doesn't look like not playing last week has had any impact on Monroe, Peter. They've come out on 2 drives and 2 long touchdowns. And Coach Cunningham wasn't super concerned about that. He's in his 3rd season at Monroe, but he's been a long-time youth football coach. And the Monroe team competed in 7-on-7 leagues over the summer. And when they did their camp work, they did it with Bennett High School out of Buffalo, who was the defending state Class AA champion. So they've seen a lot of good looks over the summer, and they've come out ready to play tonight.
This upcoming kickoff brought to you by Alexander Enterprises. They specialize in home remodeling, renovations, additions, kitchens, bathrooms, garages, new builds, decks, and painting. Give them a call before you start your next project at 624-9120.
And we mentioned Monroe played Honeoye Falls-Lima in last year's sectional playoffs. They advanced to the finals where they had a lead on Batavia with 10 seconds left in the game, lost on a tip ball. So they have a lot of desire this season to come out and avenge that and win the school's first football championship since 1979.
And through the first 4 minutes of play, they have come out playing with a purpose. As this kick will go out of bounds, that'll be a penalty. So the Cougars will get some decent starting field position as they find themselves down 14 early in the second game of their season.
Yeah, and HFL did some nice things on its first drive. Just the penalty on 3rd and short proved to be the downfall there. So really a disciplined drive here from the 35. Don't make those mistakes. March down the field. They did defer, so they should be receiving the ball to start the second half. Don't get ahead of yourself. Just handle the task at hand right here.
1st and 10 for HFL from their own 35. Man in motion. Hand off to Donahoe. Donahoe will get a yard or 2 before he's dropped.
Number 52 for Monroe. Another call out to him. That's Jahir Maxim. First one to the tackle there. He got low and was able to bring Donahoe down with a little bit of help from his friends. And I said this to you before the game, Peter, and now I'm feeling enough to say it out on the stream. Everybody talked about Batavia and maybe HFL being the 2 favorites in Class B, but with 15 starters back, Monroe might be the preseason favorite to win Class B.
2nd and 9. Pass over the middle is going to be intercepted. That's number 10, Terrence Nichols, the defensive back for the Red Jackets, with a key turnover here in the first quarter.
And that's just Nichols going up and getting the ball. He high-pointed it, made the play, was able to bring it in. So 2 long touchdowns and now a turnover, and Monroe gets the ball at its own 48-yard line for its 3rd possession of the game.
Meacham throws his first interception of the season. Monroe now 1st and 10 from their own 48.
And Nichols, another one of those young players for Monroe. He's just a sophomore, He checks in at 5'8", 145, but we can see he's got tremendous athletic ability to go up and get that ball and haul it in.
First and 10 for Monroe. They'll hand off. Falls ahead for a couple yards here.
And that's Mullins again. And, Peter, we have not seen the ball in the hands of Nazir Wilson yet tonight. I'm going to see if he's dressed 34. If we can get a look and as the game goes on and just see it, if he's in the lineup tonight. Yeah, he's in the backfield right now. They just have been making those big plays, and they haven't had to go to Wilson yet.
So officially 2nd and 8 for Monroe. High snap. Swing pass to the near side to McKnight. McKnight running ahead. He's got the edge again, and he's off to the races. We do have a penalty flag. But if that play stands, another 50-plus yard touchdown for Red Jacket, and we're not even halfway through the first quarter.
I do see the Monroe players are congregating at midfield, so it's going to be an illegal block, so that play will come back. Let's see if we can pick it up on the replay.
Chop block was the call. Looks like number 54 on the line there.
Right in the middle, yeah, on 51. Can't take away the move that McKnight made and took it to the house. We mentioned he had 14 touchdowns last year, and the Cougars need to make some adjustments because these big play receivers are just burning them early here.
Yeah, it seems like the passes are not deep downfield. They're short passes, HFL giving them a healthy amount of respect at the line, but it's the athleticism, the ability to get to the edge, and HFL taking some bad angles on the near side of the field here. They catch a break there that one gets taken off the board.
And a great job by Moses to finding the open receiver, too, because HFL has had other receivers covered. He's gone to the right person at the right time. So 2nd and 23. Cougars get another chance here. Somebody needs to step up and make a play. Now we've got Donahoe at corner on this side, Peter.
Moses collects the snap. Little trickeration, reverse to McKnight. And McKnight going to be tackled after he crosses the 40-yard line.
And that's Alexander Steinhoff, the junior, returning starter at linebacker, does a great job reading this play. Comes all the way across the field, gets there, and brings him down. No, it's number 0. I got the Connor Finn actually with the read there. Meisenthal was engaged on the other side, so Connor Finn with the tackle. That's why we love the replay, Peter. If we miss it the first time, we can get it right. So pickup of 8, 3rd and 15. Key down here for the Cougar defense.
Monroe comes out in a trips formation, 3 receivers on the top of your screen. And bad snap, Moses able to quickly collect it, tosses it out to Cologne, who's going to make it past midfield.
But a good job of the Cougars rallying to the ball there. They gave him, it was 3rd and 15, and they gave him half of it. They gave him 7.5. Bad snap may have thrown the timing off a little bit, but HFL gets what it needs there. Now the question is what happens here on 4th down.
Looks like Monroe is going to elect to keep their offense on the field.
And with the way they move the ball, I think this is a good decision there for Coach Cunningham.
So 4th and 5. Moses drops back, tosses one up. He's got a man. It's McKnight at the 40, breaks the first tackle, and he's got enough for the first down. So a new set of downs here for the Red Jackets.
And when you're in 3rd and 15, Monroe played it the way you want to. They got a little more than half on the 3rd down play, set them up for a makeable 4th down. McKnight makes the catch. He's got the first down, makes his second move. Now it's 1st and 10 at the 35. 36.
First and 10 for the Red Jackets. Another pass play. Moses fires it, and is it an interception?
Wow, I think they're going to give it to him. I thought I saw the ball hit the turf, Peter.
Yeah, we'll have a pretty good look at that one.
That could be the break the Cougars need. Landon Hammond.
It looks like
It hit the,
hard to tell, but
did he have the hand under? And the ball definitely popped up after impact. If you're a Cougar fan, you're not going to want to run that replay too many times, I don't think. You'll take it and run with it right here.
So let's see if HFL can take advantage of the turnover. They did not have a turnover a week ago at Waverly. First interception of the season for that Cougar defense. HFL comes out with a jet sweep. We got a flag down, looks like in the neighborhood of a face mask. That was Landon Hammond with the carry.
And Hammond, great play on defense, gets the ball back on offense, and yeah, you can see the hand comes across his face mask there. A couple positive plays in a row for the Cougars.
The officials are talking it over.
Wonder what they're discussing.
I think there's a question. You know, the replay, seen it again.
They're
going to wave it
flag
up. It looked like he actually might have caught like
the inside of the shoulder pad.
Yeah. So good job there by the officiating staff to make sure they get the right call, talking it over.
And the player making that tackle was Nazir Wilson. Carries a 4.5 GPA, benches 400 pounds and squats 500, so he's a beast in the middle.
Hand off to Donahoe, and he's swallowed up in the backfield. So it goes from 2nd and 9 to 3rd and about 11.
And the Monroe defense just got the push there. It's Jameer Maxson again. That's the 3rd time he's made a play in the backfield in this first quarter.
So the Cougars facing another important 3rd down. 3rd and long. We're going to call it 3rd and 11 on their own 25. Empty set formation for HFL. Meacham all alone in the backfield. Monroe showing blitz. They only bring 3. And that's too far for Patrick Donahoe. Bring up 4th and 9 for HFL.
Yeah, that pressure off the edge made Meacham throw the ball a little sooner than he wanted to. A little high. Lands out of bounds. It'll be time to punt again.
We'll see if Meacham can get another favorable bounce, or if this one is fielded by number 15, Amari Colon for Monroe.
And with it deep in Cougar territory, don't be surprised Monroe brings a little pressure.
The snap, punt, might have gotten tipped. It's a short one. It's going to bounce in Cougar territory and take a Monroe bounce. So the Red Jackets will set up inside HFL territory at the 37-yard line.
I don't think they got it. I think Matt just rushed it a little bit, didn't catch it as cleanly as he wanted to, landed nose down and lost about 5 yards on the bounce there. So he picked up about 15 yards on the bounce on his first one, lost 5 there. He's still a plus 10. But Monroe's really in plus territory here, starting its 4th drive of the game at the Cougars' 37-yard line.
So Moses threw an interception the last time this Red Jacket offense was out on the field. We'll see how he responds. Moses pulls the handoff, little RPO there. Nice pickup for Monroe, about 9 yards.
And that's Messiah Hampton, the sophomore, just nice 8 yards down, cuts in, and ball's right there waiting for him, so it's 2nd and short for Monroe. And Peter, just with the schools that have already made offers to Hampton, Penn State, Syracuse, West Virginia, Rutgers, Pittsburgh, UConn, UMass, Marshall, and University at Buffalo. So for a sophomore, he's getting a lot of looks.
As we approach the 2.5-minute mark of the first quarter, Red Jackets facing 2nd and short. They'll hand off to their running back here, Wilson. And Wilson requires a gang of Cougars to take him down.
Yeah, power back there. Wilson got outside and Was able to turn the corner, square up those shoulders. Big block there by 76 to kind of get him outside, missed tackle on the edge. Then Wilson runs through it, sets up another first down.
So this will be the first red zone play for Monroe. Their first 2 scores came from outside the red zone. Moses, snap goes over his head, and he'll just have to fall on it. So Monroe ends up outside the red zone on their first red zone play.
And that's really the first game sign that we've seen that from Monroe of not being sharp. There was another snap that was a little bit off. They were able to recover it there, but that snap loses them 12 yards, so it gives a second and long and a chance again for the Cougars to kind of make a stand.
Yeah, for most of this first quarter, Moses has kind of had to reach out for the snap, so seemed to be only a matter of time before there was a miscue, as it's 2nd and 22 now for the Red Jackets.
That trips to the top of the field. And then you've got McKnight at the bottom. There's a lot of options here.
Moses throws it up top, and he's got a man. Touchdown. That's number 5, Landon McKnight, finding the end zone again.
And that's almost an HFL play. We've seen HFL do the trips a lot and then get isolation on the other side. Nice ball thrown by Moses. McKnight is behind the defense and is able to catch it and walk in for the 3rd score here of the first quarter.
Monroe 20, HFL 0. I expect them to go for 2 again. They do, I believe, have a kicker listed on their roster. That's Landon McKnight, who just scored the touchdown, but must be a kickoff specialist.
Well, and then how about the quarter that Moses has put together just on the touchdowns of 65, 71, and 30 yards? That's 166 yards in the first quarter, just on the touchdown plays. A little bit of a gadget here. I don't see Moses in the backfield. It's Cologne taking the snap.
So we have a stoppage. Looks like a false start against the Red Jackets, so that'll back them up a couple yards here on the 2-point attempt. So we'll see if the Red Jackets elect to stay in that same formation with Cologne as the quarterback, and they do. Although this time Wilson's on his left.
Cologne, the snap was a little errant. Cologne did a good job just to corral it, and a nice job in the open field by Landon Hammond getting low and tackling Cologne so the run fails.
Take another look at that play.
Cougars had that one sniffed out pretty well.
So Monroe now with their 3rd kickoff in the first quarter.
And I think in our conversation with Coach Russ, with the fact that the Cougars are behind like this early, I think he almost would view this as a learning opportunity again for Matt Meacham to show what kind of quarterback he is, what kind of leader he is on the team. It's a big early deficit. Your team really needs a great drive here. Go out and be a leader, get something positive going, and kind of restart and get a reset for the rest of the game.
This kickoff brought to you by Alexander Enterprises. They specialize in home remodeling, renovations, additions, kitchens, bathrooms, garages, new builds, decks, and painting. Give them a call before you start your next project at 624-9120. Here's the kick. Gonna be fielded by Donahoe. Faked a handoff.
And a decent drive start, 30-yard line for the Cougars. Looked like they had a little bit of something going where they were maybe going to give it to Meisenthal and see if Monroe would bite. They didn't. Donahoe takes it up the middle and gets 12 yards.
So under a minute to go here in the first quarter.
And I think maybe the biggest impact of Andrew Wansley not being in the game is he's the receiver that can take the top off the defense a little bit. If the Cougars are going to move down the field, they're going to have to do it in chunks. They're likely not to get the big play.
And it looks like we have a play breakdown, and Meacham just has to hold on to it.
Yeah, it looked like he wanted to hand the ball off there, and
Maybe a toss
misread.
sweep, it looked like, to Cook, and Cook wasn't there. He's already out blocking.
Yeah, he was blocking all the way there, so there was a miscommunication somewhere.
Monroe also thought HFL might have jumped pre-snap, so 2nd and 11 now for HFL. Clock ticking. They'll have to run at least one more play here in the first quarter.
HFL with trips to the near side here, and I think it's Steinhoff up top.
Pass play. Meacham tosses it up, and Landon Hammond is immediately dropped.
That was a big hit. And
Mackenzie
Hammond felt
Baker.
that. Yeah, Mackenzie Baker is another one of those players on Monroe with a D1 offer. He's got an offer from University of Buffalo, and he's only a junior too, so a lot of early offers.
So that is the first quarter. We'll take a quick commercial timeout.
Honeoye Falls Marketplace. Fresh breads, donuts, special cakes made every day from scratch. Our butcher still cuts your meats to order. Doesn't get any better than that. Hot pizza, fish fries on Friday. Order your favorite sub right here. Organic foods and healthy choices. Honeoye Falls Marketplace. We're true blue, local, uncompromised, quality close to home.
Tonight's game also brought to you by Alexander Enterprises. For nearly 30 years, Alexander Enterprises has been one of Rochester's most trusted contractors. They specialize in home remodeling, renovations, additions, kitchens, bathrooms, garages, new builds, decks, and painting. Give Todd and the folks at Alexander Enterprises a call before you start your next project. Main Street Cafe is your hometown cafe with locations in the village of Honeoye Falls and the hamlet of Mendon, with a wide-ranging menu including breakfast sandwiches, paninis, wraps, salads, milkshakes, and fresh fruit smoothies. There is sure to be something for everyone. Be sure to ask about their catering services and how they can help create a unique menu for your next special event. Main Street Cafe prides itself on their fresh, made-to-order food and daily specials. Bullfinch Fund. Fans who are sitting on IRA money that they don't know what to do with, or those who want to take control of their 401k left at an old employer, should give Bullfinch a call at 624-3150. Did you know a working teenager can become a retirement millionaire just by starting a child IRA? Want to learn more? Call your mutual fund, the Bullfinch Fund, at 624-3150. Bullfinch Fund. Invest right here. As we have a deep ball in the direction of Alexander Steinhoff, and he's unable to connect there.
Nice play by the Cougars there. Steinhoff was able to get some separation from the defensive back. Just a misconnection by about a yard. So the Cougars did try to take the top off there, just unable to connect.
So Cougars punting now, 4th and 9. Ball at their own 31-yard line.
Looked like Monroe had a player come in late. A little bit of movement there on the defense.
Meacham with a punt. End over end. Bounces straight up. Touched a player. That's a live football. That touched a Red Jacket.
Are we sure? I thought it may have touched an HFL player. It did. No, they got the turnover. And I think it was Austin Kriego was down there on the coverage.
Take a look here again. Believe number 10.
Yeah, touched his back, and it's a great job by the HFL gunner there to almost pushed the Monroe player into the football, created the turnover.
So one last ad read from the end of that first quarter. Meehan Architecture with the Meehan Architecture Sports Update. Boys soccer earned their first win of the season last night with an 8-1 victory over Odyssey.
Second turnover here in the game for Monroe, Peter.
Hand off to Cook. Cook gets dragged ahead. He'll gain maybe 2 or 3.
And tough running there by Ben Cook. He's known for that. And there was contact not too far from the line of scrimmage, but Cook just lowered his shoulders, kept the legs moving, and gained a couple extra yards. And shout out to Ben Cook. We had our preseason photo shoot last week. He's planning to go to RIT and play lacrosse for the Tigers, who won a couple national championships in recent years. So a great spot for him to land.
2nd and 7 now for the Cougars. High snap goes over Meacham's head. He's able to field it, but he's dropped immediately.
Yeah, Wilson was
Wilson.
right there. And, that was one of the things that Carson Joint, we mentioned his impact the last 3 years at middle linebacker. He was also the center for most of that time, except the one game he played quarterback. Snap there was over Matt Meacham's head, and he did the best he could just to recover the football.
And that was a position that Coach Russ told us that they had a little trouble fulfilling this offseason. It wasn't until late in the offseason that Patrick Adair kind of stood out from the crowd and ended up being the guy that they're rolling with this season.
That's a tough job to deliver the ball every time.
Meacham to pass. Gets it off to Steinhoff. Gets up past midfield. He'll be a couple yards short of the first down. Check that.
Yeah, a little shallow cross by Steinhoff, and he got back a lot of the yardage from the loss on the snap. So the Cougars are into Monroe territory at the 49, but it's still third and about 14.
Wrong field marker.
As you mentioned, we didn't have a preseason, so we'll let it slide.
Still the first half, I guess.
Yeah, work it out. We'll get better as everything goes along.
So another punt for the Cougars. Here's Meacham, high kick. Takes a lateral bounce and goes out of bounds. But the Cougar player touched it at about the 33-yard line.
Yeah, the Monroe, we've seen HFL punt 4 times, Peter. Monroe's starting to get pressure. You get the feeling that if they really want to put a push on to go for the punt block, that they could force the Cougars into maybe a potentially another mistake. I would love to go back and just see who caused that turnover for the Cougars at some point on the punt, because that was a great special teams play, and the number it was definitely a number that was in the teens, but I'm not sure who did it, and they definitely deserve credit because it was a great call. The only thing I could see was the 1 on the jersey.
Monroe 1st and 10 at their own 34-yard line. Moses, quick pass. And that was a little too low for Hampton.
What Monroe's doing is they're really trying to cut the Cougar pass rushers down to create those quick lanes and get those short passes into long gains. And right there, the pass was a little low, and Hampton unable to reel it in. Monroe has committed 2 turnovers, and I'm sure the Cougars are going to try everything they can to maybe generate another one here in plus territory.
2nd and 10 for the Red Jackets. Hand off to number 3, Tamir Mullins. Mullins right up the center, and he's going to be tackled at midfield. That'll be a first down for Monroe.
Mixed in the run there, great call, little delay, and there we go with Landon. Mullins makes it, and that was Cooper Levine making the tackle, number 5 for HFL. Another first down. That's Monroe's 5th.
Goes tempo, quick play, although it's the defensive line for the Cougars that make the play this time around.
Good push there by 51 Owen Englert, 52 Austin Kriego, right there to meet the ball carrier short of the line of scrimmage.
And it looks like there might have been some miscommunication on that quick play. Number 76, Anthony Davis, for the Red Jackets, kind of went in a pass block mode, ended up letting the Cougar defensive line right into the backfield.
We saw Moses over talking to the offensive coordinator for Monroe. That's Jason Muhammad, who was actually Coach Cunningham's high school coach at Marshall. Coach Cunningham's senior year, that Marshall team went to the state semifinals.
Now principal.
Jason Muhammad. Yeah, longtime educator and football coach in Section 5.
And here's Wilson with the first down. Foot race down the sideline, cuts back in, and he's going to score.
There's whistles, though, Peter. I think I'm not sure. I hear whistles maybe before the play ended.
They're going to say he was out of bounds, I think. We'll take a look. Did he step out? Also have a flag down. But I thought the referee was marking that he was out. Maybe
it
right
looked
there.
about the 12 or 13. It did maybe a foot caught the sideline, but we'll have to see where they spot the ball.
So we have holding on the offense. So That'll wipe out the first down.
And the flag is right about the 49-yard line on the far side. So really going to push Monroe back.
About their 40-yard line.
So they'll be looking at about a 2nd and 22. Big break there for the Cougars. Obviously, the penalty calls it back, and then you just see the explosiveness of another Monroe player. Wilson, he's big and strong, and he showed some speed there as well.
And it looks like we have a timeout on the field. This timeout brought to you by Main Street Cafe. Main Street Cafe is your hometown cafe with a location in the village of Honeoye Falls in the hamlet of Mendon. With a wide range menu, including breakfast sandwiches, paninis, wraps, salads, shakes, and fresh fruit smoothies, there's something for everyone. Be sure to ask about their catering services and how they can help create a unique menu for your next special event. Main Street Cafe prides itself on their fresh, made-to-order food and daily specials.
So let's go back to our conversation with Coach Russ last night. One of the questions we asked him was, does Monroe have like one player that you can key your defense around? And he said, unfortunately, no. Because some of the teams that have like one player that really stands out, you can key on that player and maybe take some things away. The Monroe touchdowns tonight are all from 3 different players. And then Wilson, who was one of the top players in Class B last year, just broke off a run. So you're seeing that kind of the wealth of talent, the embarrassment of riches maybe that's on that Monroe team. So that's where kind of the whole bend but break came from. You know, the Cougars knew that Monroe was going to be able to make plays. They just wanted to limit the frequency and the distance on them.
2nd and 22 for the Red Jackets. Moses from the gun. Hands off. This is number 3, Tamir Mullins, who's going to get up towards that first down marker. Going to be a yard or two short.
Yeah, but a great run. 2nd down really looked like there was a little bit of awkwardness in the backfield with a handoff, but Monroe was able to recover, get a nice gain.
So in that first quarter, it was Monroe working the outside of the field. Now they've kind of moved in between the tackles, putting a little bit more pressure on the linebackers for HFL. We talked to Coach Russ, and he mentioned there was some issues with alignments last week. They even modified some of their coverages to help out the linebackers that don't have a ton of experience at the varsity level, with the exception of Steinhoff, as we have a pass play loading up and just beyond Messiah Hampton.
So it'll be 4th and short. Taking a shot there, Hampton, you got a D1 talent, a player that actually Coach Cunningham called the generational talent, which is quite a compliment. He was able to get behind the defense, missed the connection, so it'll be 4th and 2. And totally expect Monroe will go for this here.
I like that. I like the 3rd and short, knowing that you're going to go for it. Maybe teams typically run when they're going to go for it on 4th down, but instead they try and hit the long pass, and now I expect to see probably a run here or a quick pass to the outside as we have
another flag.
So that might change the offensive play call if it's on Monroe. It might be – nope, they're going to wave it off.
Because I think they called timeout. Maybe they had 12 guys on the field.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. There was one too many going towards the sideline. Able to beat the penalty with the timeout. And this timeout brought to you by Main Street Cafe, your hometown cafe with a location in the village of Honeoye Falls and the hamlet of Mendon. With a wide-ranging menu including breakfast sandwiches, paninis, wraps, salads, milkshakes, and fresh fruit smoothies, there is something for everyone. Be sure to ask about their catering services and how they can help create a unique menu for your next special event. Main Street Cafe prides itself on fresh, made-to-order food and daily specials. Main Street Cafe was my lunch today. Buffalo chicken quesadilla must be a seasonal thing because it hasn't been available for a while, and the last couple weeks when I've been there, it's back. So thanks, Joe, for bringing it back. That's my go-to.
The Peter favorite. Maybe they'll name it after you if you keep plugging it like that. The Peter Special. That's when you know you're famous, when you have a sandwich named after you.
Is a quesadilla a sandwich?
That's a whole nother conversation. We know that a hot dog isn't, right?
Agreed. And we have a penalty Looks like head ref counting. We've got too many men on the field for Monroe.
And illegal substitution. So 4th and 7. You know, I don't know if mathematically 4th and 7 should be more difficult, but 4th and 2 you might have been able to zero in on a play. No hesitation here from the Red Jackets to go for it, though.
They've been able to get some chunk plays pretty reliably so far.
And, you know, the coverage at the top of the trips, you break one tackle, you can get the first down.
Pass play, Moses flushed out to his left, and he's going to be dropped for a sack. Number 5, Cooper Levine for the Cougars, makes a big defensive play.
Biggest defensive play of the Cougars all night, and just a great job of Levine just continuing to pursue the play, stay with it. Had a little bit of trouble bringing down Moses initially, but stayed with it, was able to bring him down. Great play for the Cougars. Maybe this can jumpstart them a little bit.
And there was a moment there where I thought Moses was going to break out of it. He did have a quarterback spy in front of him, Aaron Fasek, as the Cougars end up starting field position at the Monroe 45-yard line.
And just like HFL that had a 3rd and short earlier in the game, that 5-yard penalty probably really impacted what the Cougars could do there, or what the Red Jackets could do.
Meacham to throw. Steps up in the pocket, and he's going to be dropped. Sacked in the backfield. Looked like Jakeem Riggs was in on the stop. Number 55.
Yeah, it looked like Robert Arnold was in the neighborhood too, along with number 50. Also, Kenny Scott. But I think a good job there by Meacham, realizing there wasn't a play downfield, stepped up, took his medicine a little bit. You can deal with 2nd and 13 a lot better than maybe taking a hit, turnover, 2nd and 18, 2nd and 19.
So after the sack, Meacham, under duress again, just tosses it up. He's able to find Cook, who's going to get back to the line of scrimmage. So Meacham able to
channel that in or Mahomes or Favre or something, because it looked like he was going to go down. Obviously, the screen was called. The pressure came in from Monroe. But being able to find Ben Cook there was just a great job to get rid of the ball and salvage. Just not losing anything is a positive play for HFL right there.
So the defensive line for Monroe starting to take over here in the second quarter. Ben Hool checks in at running back for the Cougars. Meacham, bullet pass. He's got his man. That's Paul Yakabuchi, who's going to have the first down. So that's an HFL first down. Brought to you by HFMP. The butchers at HFMP will cut your meat to order. It does not get any better than that.
Right there, we saw the bullet arm strength of Matt Meacham right there after having to get creative on 2nd down. Really stepped into that throw nicely, found Paul Yakabuchi. Cougars move the sticks.
Closing in on the 5-minute mark of the first half. Quick pass to Hammond. And he's going
Ball
to pick
came
up.
out, Peter, I think. But he's ruled down.
Take another look here at the wide receiver screen pass.
Maybe he was just stretching. It looked like a couple of the Monroe players were trying to dive on the pile, but positive 4-yard gain, 2nd and 7. And I think that for this HFL offense, just having 2 positive plays in a row, that's how you can start rolling. Now you got 2nd and 7, make a good play here, get another first down, and you're looking at the red zone.
Meacham to throw, looking for Steinhoff, unable to connect.
Steinhoff with a good move to get in defense on the hash mark there, just missed the slant.
Cougars now facing a 3rd and 7 inside the Monroe 35-yard line.
Let's see, they go, they got 2 on each side here, a little bit of a stack.
Meacham surveys the field, flush to his left, and he's going to be dropped in the backfield.
Robert Arnold, number 8, with the tackle. Matt had a little bit of time there, but great coverage there by Cologne. It looked like he was there if he went to Steinhoff. So Matt was just trying to buy some time and get the ball downfield. unable to find anyone.
So 4th and 11, Meacham talking with offensive coordinator for the Cougars, Dan Hoyt. We'll see what HFL pulls out of their bag here, trying to get points after starting inside the Monroe Red Jacket territory. Meacham is going to be dropped in the backfield again.
Yeah, you mentioned it a couple plays ago that the Monroe defensive line was really starting to assert itself right there. The last 2 plays we saw it, and that's Nahum Perry Huggins with the sack. His nickname is Boston, and he was able to get great push there and get in Matt Meacham's face and turn the Cougars over on downs.
So this is a little bit more what we saw in those first 2 meetings between these 2 teams last year, where it was a lot of
between the 20s.
Yep, and turnover on downs.
So I think both teams have enough confidence in their offenses that they need to make plays, but they with HFL now with the 20 on the board, they really have to capitalize on every opportunity they get going forward.
High snap. Going to be a handoff to number 34, Wilson, straight up the middle. Makes the last defender miss, and he's going to cruise into the end zone. Touchdown for the Red Jackets, 26-0.
58 yards for Wilson. We saw the long run called back a few series ago because of the penalty. Once he broke a tackle at the 45, Peter, he cut it upfield, just ran down that hash mark, made a cut at the 25, and he was gone.
So, 2-point after attempt for the Red Jackets. They've gone with the pass play the last 3 times. You think they throw the ball again?
Well, with an empty backfield, I am going to roll the dice and say yes. Oh, Mullins comes in late. Mullins, I think you went. Now it's 50-50.
It's a pass, and that's going to be broken up. Looking in the direction of Hampton with the whip route on the far side.
Good read and coverage there. It's Yakubuchi again on the outside. We've called his name a few times for being in the right place and breaking plays up and making plays.
So this kickoff brought to you by Alexander Enterprises. Alexander Enterprises specialize in home remodeling, renovations, additions, kitchens, bathrooms, garages, new builds, decks, and painting. Give them a call before you start your next project at 624-9120. So with about 3.5 minutes to go here in the first half, Cougars find themselves down 26-0. They do get the ball to start the second half, so maybe if they can put together a nice drive, end up with some points, and then get the ball and score again, it's a little bit more manageable.
Yeah, I think that's the grand plan, but I think the smaller plan is just with 3:34 on the clock, have a great drive here to end the half, have something positive, try to get points, and then, like you said, regroup at halftime, come out with a strong plan for the second half.
And here's Donahoe up past the 35-yard line.
So a good starting point, and really it's just about the Cougars being able to string together positive plays. They've had flashes with a positive play here and a positive play there, but they've been negated by positive plays by Monroe and negative plays by the Cougars. So make this your best drive of the night. Get into halftime, go over what you need to do, make those second half adjustments, and just try to build.
First and 10 for HFL. Meacham rolls out to his right, throws, caught, goes down immediately as Hammond. So I think HFL's adjustment there, if we know our offensive line isn't going to be able to handle this defensive front, let's just roll them out. Let's get them away from pressure the best we can.
And Matt Meacham has shown the ability over the years to throw on the move. It's not the most desired thing, but right now HFL's just looking to find things that work.
That first down brought to you by HFMP. At HFMP, 7 days of savings means every day you save. Check their website or circular for details for their daily deep discounted item. High snap goes over Meacham's head.
And good job by Connor Finn just getting back there to recover it. And that's kind of a microcosm, Peter. One good play followed by one negative play.
So now second and very long.
Yeah, second and what are we looking at? 20, 32, 34. Second and Thurman Thomas. I don't think Dan Hoyt has that play in his book.
At this point, you got to just try and chip away.
Yep. You know, try to get half of it here. The second half on third down, move the chains.
Another high snap. This is going to be a run play. And barely gets back to the line of scrimmage is Finn.
Yeah, the snaps are another high snap there, so that's definitely going to be a point of emphasis at halftime, just trying to figure that out. The one benefit, the clock keeps moving here for the Cougars.
Got to believe that went into the play call there. Not a whole lot of plays to get 34 yards, I would imagine, in the HFL offense, and given that it's only week 2, I don't know if they've installed those sort of plays yet.
Right, and you just want to just keep moving forward.
And Meacham dropped in the backfield. That's another sack by this Red Jacket defense.
Number 19, Jermaine Montgomery, sophomore linebacker. And you just saw the closing speed from Montgomery. Once he made the read that Meacham was going to try to run, just closed that space up and took him down. Now this might be the place, too, where Monroe puts the pressure on the punter after the trouble with the snaps here. It makes sense maybe to try and get a short field.
So clock continuing to roll under a minute. Meacham, end over end, able to bounce. It's fielded by number 2 for Monroe. That's Messiah Hampton. He's past midfield.
Flag.
He's going to be knocked out of bounds at about the 40-yard line. As you mentioned, Steve, there was a flag. Got to believe that's probably a blocking infraction.
Good punt there by Meacham, and a good snap, too, and the Cougars certainly needed that. Hampton plays it on the hop, and then I think we look right in the middle of the field.
Yep, blindside block there on Donahoe. Easy call at the high school level.
Yeah, and the umpire really, he was at the 38-yard line. He had to test his arm strength there to get the flag near the spot.
Blindside block, as we said, on the return team. So that'll be enforced from the spot of the foul. It'll be a Monroe first down, but now inside their own territory at the 38-yard line. They've got 32 seconds to work with.
And being their first game of the season, I would not be surprised if Monroe try to take a couple of passes here, given the fact that they've been able to break some tackles too. And not to say that, I mean, Wilson showed on the last possession too that he has the ability to take the ball the long way. A little confusion there, shorter lineman, so late coming in.
First and 10. Moses lofts it up and nearly intercepted by Yakabuchi.
Yeah, I think maybe Hampton made the defensive play there. He saw that Yakabuchi was in great position, and I think he plays corner. He tried to do a double move. Yakabuchi cuts in front, and the ball popped away.
So the incomplete pass stops the clock at 27 seconds.
McKnight alone up top. We saw that in earlier in the first half, and they went that way, and he was able to score a touchdown.
Here's a handoff to Wilson straight up, and a pile of HFL players able to drop him after 4 or 5 yards. That could be the first half unless Monroe wants to run another play.
I think they're going to be content with a 26-0 lead here. They're jogging toward the sidelines.
So as we mentioned, Cougars will get the ball to start the second half. We'll take a quick commercial timeout here at HFL and break down some of the first half later.
Honeoye Falls Marketplace. Fresh breads, donuts, special cakes made every day from scratch. Our butcher still cuts your meats to order. Doesn't get any better than that. Hot pizza, fish fries on Friday. Order your favorite sub right here. Organic foods and healthy choices. Honeoye Falls Marketplace. We're true blue, local, uncompromised, quality close to home.
Tonight's game also brought to you by Alexander Enterprises. Alexander Enterprises, for nearly 30 years, they have been one of Rochester's most trusted contractors. They specialize in home remodeling, renovations, additions, kitchens, bathrooms, garages, new builds, decks, and painting. Give Todd and the folks at Alexander Enterprises a call before you start your next project at 624-9120. Main Street Cafe, your hometown cafe with a location in both the village of Honeoye Falls and the hamlet of Mendon, with a wide-ranging menu including breakfast sandwiches, paninis, wraps, salads, shakes, and fresh fruit smoothies. There is sure to be something for everyone. Be sure to ask them about their catering services and how they can help create a unique menu for your next special event. Main Street Cafe prides itself on their fresh, made-to-order food and daily specials. The Bullfinch Fund, fans who are sitting on IRA money that they don't know what to do with, or those who want to take control of their old 401k money left in an old employer, should give Bullfinch a call at 624-3150. Do you know a working teenager can become a retirement millionaire just by starting a child IRA? Want to learn more? Call your mutual fund, your local mutual fund, the Bullfinch Fund, at 624-3150. Bullfinch Fund. Invest right here. Meehan Architecture with Meehan Architecture Sports Update. Last night, the HFL girls soccer team earned their first win of the season with a 4-2 victory over Greece Odyssey, with goals by Adams, Carlson, Reynoldson, and Zuber. Also, Four Corners Eye Care and Optical, now celebrating over 30 years. Four Corners Eye Care and Optical provides full scope vision and medical eye care, as well as quality optical services in the convenient location of the Four Corners of Honeoye Falls. Dr. Kissick and his staff are proud to call HFL home all these years. Hundreds of local residents, including myself, are proud to call Dr. Kissick their optometrist. Give Dr. Kissick at Four Corners Eye Care and Optical a call at 624-2121. We also want to thank the MHFL Sentinel, who is our presenting sponsor tonight, for giving us a platform to carry Section 5 football live online. We'll take a quick break here at HFL. You folks at home can debate whether or not a quesadilla is a sandwich. We did get a shout-out from former HFL quarterback Dan Hart chiming in. He's saying that a quesadilla is, of course, not a sandwich. We'll let you guys think it over. We'll be back with some first-half highlights, some key adjustments that both teams need to make going into the second half, and then we'll be ready for kickoff. Thanks for tuning in to the Mendon-Honeoye Falls-Lima Sentinel. With about 4.5 minutes to go here in the halftime period, we'll take a quick look at some highlights, talk about that first half. We also have some out-of-town scores to discuss as well. If we have the highlights queued up here, we can roll those.
Yeah, we go first play from scrimmage for Monroe. Amari Colon on the swing pass catches it at the 30, and he's gone. Peter split 2 defenders there, took an angle to the end zone. Landon Hammond got a hand on the shoulder pad, but not enough to slow Colon down. Then next play, Messiah Hampton, who has 9 D1 offers. Another short pass over the middle, turns it outside, and just runs away from the defense. Breaks a tackle at the 25 again, and Hampton gets it home. And then we've got Landon McKnight, who caught 14 touches. Oh, there's a great interception by Monroe's number 10. Terrence Nichols, you see him elevate there. And then they come back to Landon McKnight. No, that's HFL. Kyle's got more loaded up than we thought he did. Landon Hammond, a diving interception. Here's the touchdown to Landon McKnight. Gets behind the defense. Caught 14 touchdowns last year, his first of 2023. And then after going through the air, Monroe comes back on the ground. It's Nazir Wilson with a 65-yard touchdown run. You see the cutback at the 30. Squares his shoulders at the 10. Takes it into the end zone. So that's at 26-0 in favor of Monroe here at halftime.
I'm trying to think about the last time the Cougars found themselves in this sort of deficit. And to be honest, I can't think off the top of my mind. Cougars obviously in a unique situation. They're going to start with the ball. What do you think they're talking about right now in the locker room? What do you think we're going to see in that first offensive possession?
First of all, just making sure that everything's clean from the center snap to the quarterback, keeping Matt Meacham upright. I think we're going to see them roll him a little bit, but it's just make one good play at a time. And Coach Russ has a perspective. He knows that it's only high school football, and that sometimes you face stiff challenges. And the challenge tonight is you're playing against an opponent that came in red hot. Just try and build on momentum and get better each play.
So, Steve, you want to share those out-of-town scores with us?
Yeah, first, Peter, we did the Geneva game last year, and we had some interaction with their coach at the time, who was Larry Guerrero. We found him to be a really nice man. Unfortunately, he passed away in the offseason, and Geneva is dedicating the season to him. Tonight was their first home game. It's against Virtus and Rochester Prep, and on the opening kickoff, Geneva ran it back 80 yards for a touchdown. So kind of one of those sentimental, touching moments that happened. We don't know the score. We just know Geneva took back the opening kickoff for a touchdown. Then a good game over in Batavia, who the Cougars play next week. The Blue Devils will be here. We'll have the game on the Sentinel. 20-14 Blue Devils at halftime. Batavia actually scored on the last play of the first half to take the lead. So if we run through Class B standings after 1 week.
So before tonight's games are final, Batavia, Geneva, and Virtus all at the top with 1 win. Monroe and Wayne and Dansville Waco did not play week 0 game, so they were all sitting at 0-0 coming into tonight. HFL and Rochester Prep both lost their first game. Interesting story, Virtus played Rochester Prep last week. Neither of those programs had a win in their history, their very brief histories. So it was Virtus getting their first program win a week ago.
Yeah, and Peter, we talked a lot about Monroe coming in and not knowing how they would be after not playing in week 0 or week 1. What's been your impression here through the first 24 minutes?
We talked about if it was going to be an issue them not playing a week ago. It seemed like they came out, there's been a couple mistakes, a couple penalties, too many men on the field, blocking infractions, but overall they came out scoring on their first offensive play. I said that they were playing with a purpose this year after one play away from a sectional championship. It's been many years.
43.
1979 since the school district last won a sectional championship. So far, first half of this season was pretty close to perfection.
Yeah, and when you come out and score a 65-yard touchdown on the first play from scrimmage of the year, a lot of that anxiety goes away.
So there is the buzzer here for the halftime period. As we mentioned, it will be Monroe kicking off to HFL to begin the second half of play. This second half kickoff brought to you by Alexander Enterprises. They specialize in home remodeling, renovations, additions, kitchens, bathrooms, garages, new builds, decks, and painting. Give them a call before you start your next project at 624-9120.
Monroe's got the high knees going on the far sideline.
And it looks like they extended the clock by a couple minutes here just to give both teams a little bit extra time to get loose.
That's not uncommon, the additional 3-minute warm-up. And, just getting back to Geneva a little bit, Peter, it's such a tragic loss with Coach Guerreri. But former player Cleveland Cooper, who was a star tight end maybe 10, 15 years ago, has taken over the program. Big 19-0 win at Penn Yan last week, and I think that with the Section 5 football community being as tight-knit as it was, Coach Guerreri had two sons on the team, has two sons on the team this year, that loss was felt all through Section 5, far beyond Geneva.
So Cougars changing direction here. I believe they get to pick which side they want to defend because they deferred. Not sure if there's any sort of advantage tonight. It's been pretty calm. There's been occasional gusts here. The flags are pretty static here at the stadium. It's really settled into a nice night. I know about 5 days ago I was worried there were some thunderstorms in the radar, but it's really turned into a very nice Friday night weather-wise here in Honeoye Falls.
Yeah, I had a quick chat with Coach Russ down on the field before the game, and he just said, man, it's a perfect night for football. Not too hot, not too cold, and no precipitation in sight. So conditions are perfect, and it's just good to be back, right? This is our 4th year doing this together, and it's a lot of fun, and we just really look forward to putting the best live stream together that we can each week.
So the ball is teed up here for the Red Jackets.
Number 99, I believe, has been the kicker the last few times. And that's Anthony Omibi.
Both teams lined up. There's the whistle. Ready to get underway here in the second half. Kick is a squib along the turf, fielded by Landon Hammond for the Cougars. He nearly immediately goes out of bounds at about the 35-yard line.
In a good starting field position, Hammond takes the high hop just inside the 30. He's able to advance at about 5 yards, give the Cougars a good starting point. Thought your dad might be looking for like a blue moon or blue full moon, or what kind of moon we got in September. Nothing visible tonight, though, right?
I think it's a little too cloudy to see anything. So 1st and 10 for HFL at the 34-yard line. Meacham lines up in the gun. Collects the snap, hands off Connor Finn. And Connor Finn not going to get a whole lot there. Maybe a couple feet beyond the original spot.
Yeah, and that Monroe defensive line, front seven really continues to put pressure on the HFL offensive line.
HFL has a rotation of running backs between Cook, Donahoe, Houle, and Finn. Seems like there hasn't been one yet that has stood above the rest in terms of playing time. They all kind of have slightly similar play styles. So we have two in the backfield for the Cougars, and it's Donahoe who's dropped in the backfield.
And I think a big part of that, too, has just been the inability for the Cougars to establish a rhythm. When this HFL offense is humming, they're mixing the run and the pass. They're able to do a lot of the things that Monroe has done tonight and keep the opponent off balance. Cook had a couple of nice catches early on, a couple of screen passes where he was able to make the catch and gain yardage, but really being unable to have consistent positive plays has made it tough to even get into a rhythm as a play caller.
So we have a fake jet sweep, And that is a spectacular play there by Robert Arnold to get a hand on it. Number 8 for the Red Jackets.
It looked like the intended receiver was number 1, Ben Cook. Kind of came across on a shallow cross. He's got 2 Monroe defenders behind him, but Arnold got up and was able to knock that ball away.
So Cougars end up having to punt on their first possession of the second half. Meacham will be inside his own 20-yard line for this punt. High kick end over end. Bounces inside the 30. And a bit of a mistake there by Landon McKnight to let that one roll. It seemed like he could have maybe made a play on after the first bounce. So
yeah.
The HFL Cougars benefit from a long roll on a Meacham punt.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get an extra 10 yards of roll there. So it's going to be a nice 42-yard punt, I believe, with 0 net. And that flips the field. That's the kind of play that you need just to start the second half if you're unable to move the chains. Meacham's done a good job as the punter. I mean, he's had some tough situations to deal with, and he's made the best of it.
1st and 10 for the Red Jackets. Moses hands off to Wilson. Stiff arm in the backfield. Works it up. 1st down. Still going. Churning out more yards out past midfield.
And yeah, we did not see Wilson involved in the early calls, and then as the game's gone on and they've switched to the run more, his presence has been felt. You see him break a couple more tackles right there and just kind of keep steamrolling down the field.
Did Coach Cunningham have a nickname for Wilson?
He didn't. He just he called him Naz. And he talked about him more from on the defensive side where he's in the middle of defense. He just said he's a dog on defense. But there are some pretty good nicknames on this Monroe team.
1st and 10 for the Red Jackets. Direct snap to Tamir Mullins. Makes a couple men miss inside and is tackled at the 40-yard line. So a pickup of 8 on 1st down.
And Mullins provides a real nice change of pace there. He did that in the first half, and I think he may have been at Bishop Kearney, as you pointed out before, and where he made some plays on Coach Rick Dawes' team. We see him lining up at Monroe and just giving them an extra answer there in the backfield.
And I don't know if that was an intentional direct snap or if it just went through right to him and he was going to get the ball eventually.
Either way, it was a nice reaction and positive yardage.
Red Jackets facing a 2nd and short inside HFL territory at the 40-yard line. Mullins with another handoff.
1st down yardage and a nice cutback there about the 40. Gains about 7.
So the snap still just, if I'm Monroe, maybe that's my one big thing I got to circle is getting that snap down, because you saw it broke up the mesh point a little bit. It wasn't a clean field.
Yeah, the timing was a little off, but the one thing that stood out to me on that play was the kick out block by Jakir Maxim, 52. He just really was able to pull through and seal that lane so that when Mullins did get there, he had room to operate. And we mentioned Maxim's name a few times, a big senior, 6'2", 240. So the size on this Monroe offensive line is impressive.
Cologne on the jet sweep, and he's going to be tackled for a loss. Loss of about 1 yard there on 1st down.
And to your point, Peter, that snap was also a little bit off rhythm, and the Cougars were able to take advantage of that timing mishap and make a nice play in the backfield.
Yeah, outside linebacker Harrison Houle able to secure that tackle. Brings up 2nd and 11 for the Red Jackets. Their first possession of this 3rd quarter.
And just seeing the opponents that HFL has seen out of the gate here with Monroe and Waverly gives them really a measuring stick for the rest of the season and lets them know which areas they need to address and try to improve in. Moses
bobbles the snap, throws it up, looking to the far side, and that's caught Messiah Hampton still pushing for more, and he's going to get inside the 10. I think he's going to be tackled at about the 6-yard line, so it'll be 1st and goal for Monroe.
And that's really the danger of the underthrown ball. Hampton is able to see that the ball is going to be a little bit short. He's able to stop, adjust, pull it in, and then once he secured the ball, turn and make another 6 yards. So 1st and goal for the Red Jackets.
I believe this is the first time that either team has run a play in a goal line situation.
Yep.
Crossing the 7-minute mark of the third quarter. 3 receivers to the near sideline. High snap over Moses' head, fielded by Mullins, and he's not going to get much more after able to pick up the errant snap.
Yeah, and as we mentioned a couple of times, that's really the only thing that has held Monroe back is the inconsistency with the snaps there. They've been able to overcome it on several occasions, but in a tight game, those are the kind of things that can flip things for you.
And at the high school level, you rarely see teams go under center anymore, with the exception of maybe a Spencerport.
Yeah, and Spencerport has a new offense this year, so new coach, new offense. But, yeah, I mean, you get those wing T teams, but even they diversify their packages now with the tight splits. But sometimes I think maybe Waco, Dansville ran a version of that when we saw them a couple years ago, right?
2nd and 17. McKnight, the man in motion. Reverse play. This is Cologne. And he's got a running lane, and he cruises into to the end zone. Another touchdown for the Red Jackets.
2nd of the night for Amari Cologne. Little reverse action here. Got the Cougars moving one direction. Nice cutback by Cologne. Just takes it right up the middle of the field, and he's able to get home.
Two-point conversion now for Monroe to make it 34-0. Midway through the third quarter here at HFL. Moses in the backfield. Wilson to his left. He's going to throw. Quick slant, and that's caught.
It's Cologne. It seemed like he may be the feature guy a little bit tonight. He's a newcomer to the program, and Coach Cunningham was very excited about what he's able to do. But now that they're getting him on tape, maybe so some college coaches can see him.
So Monroe extends their lead there. Gets the first points of the second half. HFL now finds themselves in a deeper hole.
Yeah, really, like as you mentioned, an unfamiliar position over the last few years, and the Cougars have been so good at home. I think they had not lost until the Batavia game last year since 2017. So Cougar fans are used to seeing a lot of success here, but you need to remember there's a whole bunch of new players, and a couple of injuries, and it's week 2, and HFL. One of the things that Coach Russ really prides himself on is building the program and coaching his players up, and that this kind of a game is only going to strengthen that resolve.
So this kickoff brought to you by Alexander Enterprises. Alexander Enterprises, for nearly 30 years, Alexander Enterprises has been one of Rochester's most trusted contractors. They specialize in home remodeling, renovations, additions, kitchens, and bathrooms, garages, new builds, decks, and painting. Give Todd and the folks at Alexander Enterprises a call before you start your next project at 624-9120.
And Donahoe just had to take a knee there when kind of the squib kick came in. Took a couple of bounces. He wasn't able to field it cleanly right away, and the smart thing is just to secure the ball and take a knee.
So Cougars 1st and 10, second possession of the third quarter. Meacham to throw. Flushed out, and he's dropped in the backfield. Another sack for this Monroe defensive line.
That's Deshaun Constantine, who's been a 3-year starter on the line for Monroe. Consistently been their top defensive lineman. Haven't called his name a lot tonight. We've seen him make some nice blocks there. He was able to get to the quarterback. He's Constantine's gained 15 pounds of muscle since last year, so he's another Monroe player that has really bought into this team concept and trying to maximize this senior season.
2nd and 16, draw play to Cook right up the middle. He's able to get a big chunk of that back. It'll bring up a 3rd and much more manageable.
Nice job by the Cougars. Monroe, the penetration there, Cook's able to find the seam, just kind of lower his shoulder, drive forward, make this about 3rd and 5. Maybe a little less, 3rd and 4.
Cook only had 3 carries a week ago, but able to make the most of it, averaging 10 yards a carry last week at Waverly.
And we've seen Ben the last 2 seasons. We know that he's a durable player. Right now he's lining up at tight end, so he's really doing whatever the Cougars need him to do.
Here's Donahoe, able to find the gap, and that'll be a Cougar first down. Brought to you by Honeoye Falls Marketplace. Treat yourself tomorrow and every Saturday with a slow-roasted prime rib dinner and all the fixins from HFMP for only $18.99 each.
And that's what we've been looking for HFL is 2 positive plays in a row. The run by Cook, now the run by Donahoe. Earn yourself a fresh set of downs, and then maybe mix in a little bit more here as you try to move the ball down the field.
So Cougars with the new set of downs. Meacham to throw, and that's incomplete.
And I would call that a quality drop right there because Patrick Donahoe did not have a lot of places to go. As long as that ball hits the turf, you're good if you're HFL because Patrick Donahoe was, if he caught that ball, he was going to be dropped as soon as he caught it.
Second and 10 now for HFL.
And HFL is trying to, use the pressure that Monroe's generated against them, but at that play there just wasn't any time or space to do that.
Meacham hands off. Donahoe. Maybe a yard or 2 on that carry. 3rd and 8.
Little seam there. A nice tackle made by number 18 for Monroe. That's a name that we have not called much tonight. That's Zaquan Lathrop, tight end, defensive end.
Here's the 2nd and 8 play for HFL. Meacham tosses it up, going deep, incomplete in the direction of Alexander Steinhoff. Bring up 4th down.
Terrence Nichols, number 10, who we had that interception in the first half. Hampton had good coverage on Steinhoff. Meacham tried to squeeze it in and just ran out of real estate on the far sideline.
So Meacham will be punting yet again tonight.
And Meacham's been on the field a lot at both the quarterback and we probably punted. HFL's probably punted more tonight than any game we've seen in the last few years. This Monroe defense, it's a credit to them, just being able to stifle the HFL offense.
High punt. It's muffed, but McKnight's able to fall on top of it.
Good reaction there by McKnight. Monroe takes over on the 35. Matt did a nice job adjusting to the low snap, got a good foot into it. McKnight's moving over, kind of looked up maybe to see where the coverage was, wasn't able to secure the ball and fell on it.
So 1st and 10 for Monroe. Ball at their own 35-yard line.
Monroe's got same lineup on the field, looks like mostly.
Here's the handoff to Mullins. He'll gain 5 yards there.
And Mullins just has been a real nice addition to this mix for Monroe. You've got the Thunder with Nazir Wilson, and you've got a lot of lightning there with Mullins, and then the dynamic receivers. They're going to be really tough to contend with in Class B this year. And we, as we mentioned, we'll get a look at Batavia next week, who was an early season favorite. And I want to see Geneva play. I think that's later on in the season for the Cougars.
Hand off again to Mullins. He's going to be dropped in the backfield. That's Aaron Fasek. Yep. Middle linebacker comes up and makes the play.
Yeah, there's the read and react that I think the Cougars were looking for. Fasek was able to stalk Mullins there, get in the backfield, and then just a solid tackle.
3rd and 8 for the Red Jackets. Approaching the end of this third quarter of play. Third and 8. Quick pass. This is Hampton. He's got the first down and more. Out to midfield.
Yeah, Hampton and Moses, they've run that play a lot of times. That's a nice little slant. They've got both receivers running a slant. McKnight was not open. Hampton, the outside receiver, was.
So Monroe with a new set of downs at midfield. Here's Moses. Fires it. That's caught. Amari Colon with a first down for the Red Jackets. Monroe moves the chains again. That was number 9 for HFL, Keaton Yates, I believe, on the tackle.
Final minute of play here in the third, Peter. And HFL working some other players into the lineup here as we head towards the fourth quarter.
First and 10. Moses lofts one up, and that's going to be easily intercepted by Yakabuchi working down the sideline. He's got a lot of green grass in front of him, and he's going to be tackled by number 3, Tamir Mullins. Touchdown saving tackle there by Mullins, took the right angle.
But Paul Yakabuchi, that's a huge play for him, and it's a huge play for the Cougars, especially given the time of the game and the situation, how things have gone all night. Coach Russ talked about Yakabuchi all through camp. He's done the right things. Good pressure by the defense. Moses throws it a bit short. Yakabuchi steps in, and great return down the sideline, Peter. I think he's neighborhood of 50 yards. Then Mullins is able to close down, but HFL's inside of the Monroe 20 for the first time tonight.
First red zone play here for HFL as we have a stoppage. Going to be the first timeout by the Red Jackets.
I think they may have been a player or two short on defense there. The transition as they were jogging to the huddle, I counted quickly. I only counted 9. So even if I missed somebody, they may have been a player short.
This timeout brought to you by Main Street Cafe. Main Street Cafe is your hometown cafe with a location in the village of Honeoye Falls and the hamlet of Mendon. With a wide-ranging menu, including breakfast sandwiches, paninis, wraps, salads, milkshakes, and fresh fruit smoothies, there's sure to be something for everyone. Be sure to ask about their catering services and how they can help you create a unique menu for your next special event. Main Street Cafe prides itself on their fresh, made-to-order food and daily specials.
So Monroe, we've sang their praises all night, and deservedly so, but if you're looking to maybe see some of those first game issues that they'll look to resolve as they get ready for week 2 or their second game next week as they get ready to play Rochester Prep. That's the 3rd turnover tonight, so they've had 3 turnovers, and they have had some alignment issues with personnel groupings too.
First and 10. Cougars in the red zone. Cook up the middle. Going to be tackled at about the 11 or 12 yard line. Decent gain there on first down.
Yeah, HFL is kind of slowed things down, simplified here in the third quarter, gone to the run a little bit. I'm not sure if they'll – it looks like they are going to try to snap before the quarter ends.
We'll see if the Cougars decide to run.
And Monroe had another issue with personnel there, so there's going to be the whistle and a defensive timeout, which means that with 5 seconds left in the third quarter, HFL will need to run another play.
So the Red Jackets with their second timeout of the second half. This timeout, of course, brought to you by Main Street Cafe, your hometown cafe, with a location in the village of Honeoye Falls in the hamlet of Mendon, with a wide-ranging menu including breakfast sandwiches, paninis, wraps, salads, milkshakes, and fresh fruit smoothies. They're sure to be something for everyone. Be sure to ask about their catering services and how they can help create a unique menu for your next special event. Main Street Cafe prides itself on their fresh, made-to-order food and daily specials.
So these changes, I wonder if Monroe's been working some new players in so that maybe that the communication hasn't been there on these last couple of plays as they're trying to set their defense.
Cougars with a big opportunity here inside the red zone, trying to get their first points of the night. Knocking on the door here, 2nd and 5. Ball at the 11-yard line. Pistol formation for HFL. Ben Cook, the running back, shifts to Meacham's left. Meacham collects a snap, quick pass, looking for Yakabuchi, and he's got him. So the man who makes the interception that leads to the red zone possession caps off the Cougars' drive, finding the Meehan Architecture end zone for HFL.
I was just thinking to myself, I saw a little hand signal from Matt Meacham right before the snap. Wouldn't it be nice if Yakabuchi, who made the play to get the Cougars the ball, was able to get the touchdown? Slant route there, catches it inside the 5, puts it away and into the end zone. And he did it against the D1 defensive back, too.
Here's Avery Reynoldson for the point after. Low snap, Meacham able to pick it up. Kick is missed. So the point after attempt is no good for HFL. Not a smooth operation there for the Cougars. They had some issues a week ago on the point after attempts.
Yep, and HFL prides itself in special teams, and I know that Coach Russ has told us in the past they spend as much time on special teams as any team in Section 5 does. But you're still a little bit limited with the time that you have and the personnel that you have. And, it's a three-person operation plus the line. If everything's not working together, that's a tough play to convert.
So with the end of the fourth quarter, tonight's sponsors, Alexander Enterprises. For nearly 30 years, Alexander Enterprises has been one of Rochester's most trusted contractors. They specialize in home remodeling, renovations, additions, kitchens, bathrooms, garages, new builds, decks, and painting. Give Todd and the folks at Alexander Enterprises a call before you start your next project at 624-9120. Main Street Cafe, your hometown cafe with a location in the village of Honeoye Falls in the hamlet of Mendon with a wide-ranging menu, including breakfast sandwiches, paninis, wraps, salads, milkshakes, and fresh fruit smoothies. There's something for everyone. Be sure to ask about their catering services and how they can help create a unique menu for your next special event. Main Street Cafe prides itself on their fresh, made-to-order food and daily specials. Bullfinch Fund, fans who are say on IRA money that they don't know what to do with, or those who want to take control of their 401k money left at an old employer, should give Bullfinch a call at 624-3150. Did you know a working teenager can become a retirement millionaire just by starting a child IRA? Want to learn more? Call your local mutual fund, the Bullfinch Fund, at 624-3150. Also, HFMP, now celebrating 40 years, true blue local. As we have a low kick. That's a live football, going to have to be fielded by the Red Jackets. This is number 5 for Monroe. Landon McKnight, he's had a couple of big plays tonight and able to be escorted out of bounds by some Cougars, but up past the 30-yard line.
Yeah, McKnight fields it inside the 20, tracks it down at the 15, able to carry the ball to the wide side of the field and get a nice gain. I got to tell you, Peter, the end of the third quarter caught me. I didn't realize the clock would run on the extra point. I thought we had the kickoff coming then.
So tonight's game also brought to you by Meehan Architecture with the Meehan Architecture Sports Update. Boys and girls cross country for HFL headed out to Oakfield, Alabama this evening for their meet. It was a 5 p.m. start. Don't know how they finished. Also, girls volleyball had a match tonight hosting Pittsford Sutherland tonight over in the A-Gym.
At Oakfield, Alabama Twilight cross-country meet is one of the most popular ones in Section 5 early season.
Here's Moses with a handoff to Mullins. That's good for 4 or 5 yards.
So we've been talking all night about like HFL and what's next. I think we were looking for 2 positives to build on. The interception and the touchdown by Yacobucci are certainly a good starting point. Yeah, Coach Russ had a great quote about Paul too. He says, "If you do what you're coached to do, you're gonna get playing time from me." And we're seeing that. We're seeing that here tonight.
Here's a pass play. This is McKnight up past the 45-yard line into HFL territory. First down for the Red Jackets. Still moving the ball here against the Cougars into the fourth quarter.
That's that RPO that Monroe runs, and fake throws the defense, and then they toss it to the slot receiver. Easy pitch and catch for the Red Jackets.
So I wonder if, given Monroe didn't have a game a week ago, if they want to try and get some extra reps for their starters, just because they're a game behind some other opponents in Class B. There are some JV players that they have up that'll have the ability to play about a dozen or so snaps, as we have a swing pass here to Amir Cologne, and he breaks a tackle inside the 10-5 touchdown. And it's Monroe with another score. So an immediate answer to HFL's first points of the night.
Yeah, and that is Cologne's third touchdown of the night, second touchdown reception, Moses' fourth touchdown pass, and it's just that swing pass and getting that talented athlete the ball in space, and he's able to take it all the way. And I think that maybe now we might see that with Monroe has 40 points on the scoreboard, 10.5 minutes to go here, because on the same point, the other players haven't played yet either, so they might want to get them some live snaps and live reps.
2-point conversion here for the Red Jackets. They go with a run, and that's stuffed. That was Tamir Mullins with the handoff, but the HFL front able to prevent him from getting the 2 points.
Yep, the middle was clogged, and the HFL defense did a good job to prevent the conversion. And what a debut for Cologne, though. 3 touchdowns. The shortest, which has been a 15-yard run, but his receptions of 65 and 41 yards, a couple of other nice plays there. Welcome to high school football.
So this upcoming kickoff brought to you by Alexander Enterprises. They specialize in home remodeling, renovations, additions, kitchens, bathrooms, garages, new builds, decks, and painting. Give them a call before you start your next project at 624-9120.
So there was the answer from Monroe, and we'll see what HFL does here. I would think they would probably want to put together one more good drive, build that positive momentum, get ready to take on Batavia next Friday night.
And as you mentioned earlier, that game will be carried live by the Sentinel.
And that Batavia team should be interested too. There's a new coach and a lot of new players, and we know that HFL and Batavia have played some great games in recent years, and we're expecting a good game next Friday.
Harrison Hoole fields that kick for the Cougars. They'll start at the 35-yard line.
Squib kick there. Hoole again scoops it, returns it to the 35. Good starting spot for HFL.
Looks like we have a quarterback change here for HFL.
Still a Meacham, but it's sophomore Nathan Meacham.
Nate Meacham, he's a sophomore, as you mentioned. He plays quarterback at the JV level. With the rule change a couple seasons ago, it allows JV players to play 10 snaps at a varsity game and still be eligible to play the JV game that same week, as an errant snap there goes directly to the running back.
Frank Sackett, number 24. Nice job by Frank recovering, just being able to 29, check that. And I don't have a 29 on my roster, Peter. So, but a nice play by the running back there to secure the ball and move it forward.
So 2nd and 11 for the Cougars. Into the fourth quarter here. Handoff again to number 29. Appears no one has 29 on their roster here in the press box, so it's anyone's guess. The mystery ball carrier for the Cougars.
So Nate Meacham, 3rd and 13. As you mentioned, he's probably on a snap count. But as they did with Matt Meacham a couple of years ago, the Cougar coaching staff likes to get a look at some of these younger players in varsity action where it's just a little bit faster and the players are bigger and stronger.
And that's a strip sack.
Robert Arnold, who's been a force all night, was able to beat the Cougar offensive line around the top. Blindside to Nate Meacham. He really didn't have much time or any chance to adjust, and a nice job by number 64 for the Cougars. That's Austin Youngstrom to recover that. And Austin Youngstrom, good size there for Austin, 6'3", 270, sophomore. He's a player we'll probably be seeing in the next couple of years.
That was textbook in terms of using leverage, getting around, and then coming with that arm, ripping it down the quarterback's passing arm, forcing the fumble. Matt Meacham with the punt and bouncing live football, and that's
able to get that out of bounds.
That was number 21, Raymond Garcia for Monroe.
Fortunate bounce for the Red Jackets. Garcia's kind of just chasing the ball, but it's a smart play too. If he can't get it, don't let anybody get it, and at least your team retains possession. And I think we're getting the quarterback change for Monroe, where it's going to be a freshman by the name of Terrell Cunningham, who happens to be the son of Coach Terrell Cunningham. And Terrell Cunningham was a U-Prep before, and he's got some interesting highlights, great footwork out there. He's got the nickname of Pootie, and pretty active social media, and some good clips on him. He's going to be a good player for Monroe in the future.
So some substitution besides the quarterback position.
And Coach Cunningham, as we mentioned, has coached some elite youth football teams throughout the years. And with Terrell Cunningham Jr., a lot of his friends in that age group have been together. And I know that Coach Cunningham is excited about the program that he's being able to build at Monroe right now, and some of these players that are very excited to play for him.
Handoff. This is number 9, Javon Bennett. And Bennett's going to go. Touchdown, Red Jackets.
Little play fake there. Bennett gets the ball, gets to the outside. And Bennett is a sophomore, 5'10", 175 pounds. Once he breaks through the line at the 50-yard line, one more tackle to break it at the 30, and then he's gone.
So with 8:03 to go, Monroe piling it on 46 points with a 2-point conversion pending.
And so many exciting big plays there.
Trips to the near side. Here's the handoff. They go right back to Bennett, who's going to dance on into the end zone for 2 points. So that extends Monroe lead to 48.
Touched the ball twice, crossed the goal line twice. That's a pretty impressive start for Bennett.
So this upcoming kickoff brought to you by Alexander Enterprises. Alexander Enterprises specialize in home remodeling, renovations, additions, kitchens, bathrooms, garages, new builds, decks, and painting. Give them a call before you start your next project at 624-9120.
So Coach Cunningham last night when I spoke to him we mentioned excited about his young players. He said they have been pushing his starters in practice throughout camp. They had that extra third week before their first game, giving them some playing time, and you can see that they've got some talent too.
So HFL plays Batavia next week, and then I believe the following week it's Batavia versus Monroe.
Yep, the 22nd. So Monroe will travel to Batavia Vendetta Stadium. Both Monroe and Batavia have fantastic facilities, great places to watch games, and there will be a lot of eyes on that game too. But Batavia's got to come to HFL first. I think we're going to learn a lot about both teams next week.
Yeah, it seems like your thought of Monroe being maybe the in the pole position in terms of the Class B race seems to be true after seeing them tonight, returning 15 starters.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. They've got the motivational piece from almost taking Batavia down last November, and they've had that hunger and they've stayed together all season. We mentioned that Coach Cunningham played at Utica College. He was a 4-year starter there, so he's been around football his whole life, and he really talked about this football team and said this is the most well put together football team that I've ever been around. So he's played on some good teams. That Marshall team that he played on as a senior went to the state semifinals. So I think, Monroe's a force. And to be fair, I think this game says more about Monroe being good than anything about HFL.
As we have a timeout on the field called by Monroe. This timeout brought to you by Main Street Cafe, your hometown cafe, with a location in both the village of Honeoye Falls and the hamlet of Mendon. With a wide-ranging menu including breakfast sandwiches, paninis, wraps, salads, milkshakes, and fresh fruit smoothies, there's something for everyone. Be sure to ask about their catering services and how they can help you create a unique menu for your next special event. Main Street Cafe prides itself on their fresh, made-to-order food and daily specials.
I did not do the math on the new starters for HFL, but we have mentioned a couple of times that Monroe has 15 returning starters. And I think that if we look at HFL, you're looking at maybe between offense and defense, if you can get to 10, I think that you might be maxing out. And that's counting Andrew Wanzenry twice, and he's not able to play tonight.
1st and 10 for the Cougars. This is number 17 for HFL. That's Jerry Lonther. He's immediately met in the backfield.
Yep, number 4 for Monroe is Amir Thompson, senior, 5'9", 175. Jerry didn't have the ball long, and Amir was there to meet him.
So 2nd and 14 now for HFL.
See Robert Arnold is at defensive end. That's a tough matchup for the Cougars.
Pass out to the far side. Believe that's Keaton Yates, number 9 for HFL. He'll pick up about 7 yards.
Nate Meacham, a good job hauling that snap in, able to find Yates on the outside, put together some positive yardage. And we've talked a lot about Matt Meacham's work ethic. Nate Meacham has a tremendous work ethic too, has done a lot of the same things that his older brother has, and probably he's going to be right in the mix to be a strong player at HFL throughout his high school career as well.
Meacham listed at 6'2".
I think he's taller than Matt. We saw them at photo day, and I'm thinking that Nate might be a little bit taller. And we joked with him a little bit and said which brother has the better hair, and Nate said no question, it's me. So Matt's got that. Little brother's got that on big brother right now.
Well, per the official roster, Matt has an inch on Nate.
I'd love to see him stand back to back though. Then we would really know. Or look at the little lines in the living room and see who grew when. But
so 4th and 7 now for the Cougars. Punting situation. Matt Meacham heels at his 19-yard line, or check that, 21-yard line. Ball out of bounds. We'll see where it went out. Probably about midfield.
that would be my guess. Maybe a couple yards on the HFL side. Yeah, it looks like Monroe will get the ball at the 48-yard line. Although the chains are still moving.
Looks like they're going to...
Right on the 50.
Right on the 50, right at midfield. On the Cougar.
When in doubt, split the difference, right? Cunningham with this group coming out to lead the offense for Monroe.
It was Bennett who scored on their last possession. We'll see if Cunningham maybe gets a couple passes in this offensive possession as we have a
lineman run out late.
At 76, Anthony Davis. Cunningham with the snap, throws it. That's going to be caught by number 21, who that's Raymond Garcia. And it was Keaton Yates on the defense for the tackle.
Cunningham, 5'8", 145, throws a nice ball over the middle, hung up a little bit, gave the Cougars an opportunity to take advantage and get a nice hit on the receiver.
Second and short now for Monroe. Under the halfway point of the fourth quarter. Pass play, Cunningham over the middle. That's going to be caught. Number 10, Terrence Nichols.
And Cunningham, his dad told me, has trained with Matt Meacham some in the offseason. So those two know each other, have a great deal of respect for each other. Coach Cunningham was talking about how impressed he's been watching Matt through the years and his development and the work he puts in the offseason. And we see this a lot, too, amongst the Section 5 teams, that mutual respect as players go to showcases and go different places. They get to know players from other schools, and I think that's a good thing.
So after the pass play results in a first down, Monroe at the 25-yard line. Swing pass to Garcia, who cuts up inside. And he's going to get about 2 or 3 yards there.
Cunningham looks pretty confident, has a good grasp on the offense. HFL defense did a good job surrounding the receiver and limiting the yardage.
Handoff. Bennett, left side, up the middle, and he's into the end zone. Bennett with his second touchdown of the night.
21-yard run for Bennett, his second here in the fourth quarter. On his 2 touchdown runs, it's 2 carries for 71 yards. Also has the conversion. He's got the speed and the shiftiness. Peter went to that left side, and there was a hole, made a nice cutback, and he found the end zone. 5'10", 175-pound sophomore is Mr. Bennett.
So 2-point conversion for Monroe to make it an even 56. Handoff. That was to number 4, Amir Thompson, and he's not going to cross the plane. So Monroe will stay at 54. We'll take another look there.
Good job about filling the middle of the defense there by the HFL defense. See number 53 down at the bottom of the pile for the Cougars.
Christopher Harrison Jr.
Yeah, nice read by Christopher. Able to stop the ball carrier short.
Upcoming kickoff brought to you by Alexander Enterprises. They specialize in home remodeling, renovations, additions, kitchens, bathrooms, garages, new builds, decks, and painting. Give them a call before you start your next project at 624-9120.
So you know Coach Russell better than I do, and you know he's a big picture guy. He knew that Monroe had a lot of talent coming in. What's he say to get this team ready for Batavia next week? What's his message to them tonight?
I think that this is a unique experience, like we were talking about at halftime. That when was the last time the Cougars found themselves in such a lopsided game? Here's the the big talking point is it's week 2. With the way that sectionals are set up in Class B, good chance HFL going to play in sectionals. Also a good chance they might even host a first-round game. if they can, get the wins necessary. So this is an early learning experience in this season for HFL, and they just got to get better every week, as that's a live football, and that's going to be covered up by number 25. That's Nasir Kelly.
Yeah, it looked like the blocking back tried to field that. It came in really hot, like a soccer goalkeeper. Ball dropped. Monroe's able to fall on it. And just building off your point, Peter, I think I heard a soccer coach say this once after a disappointing loss: forget the score, but remember the lesson. And I think, with that kind of mentality, that's what the Cougars will look for. That if your alignment's off, this is what can happen. Let's work to fix that.
And when the schedule was finalized late spring, early summer, the Cougars knew that they were going to have their work cut out for them, starting with Waverly, Monroe, and Batavia. And Coach Russ told the Sentinel that, hey, win or lose, we're going to learn lessons from these early games that are going to hopefully set us up and better prepare us for the second half of the season and sectionals.
Right. And we haven't mentioned this tonight, but there's been a little bit of a change in Section 5 football, particularly Class B, where Palmyra-Masson and Newark, two teams that have been in Class B the past couple of years, have elected to play an independent schedule so that they're not going to be eligible for sectionals. That kind of threw the other Class B teams into the HFL. We saw it for the opening week, trying to find an opponent. So that federation schedule that we've seen the last few years, Scott Barker, the Section 5 football chairman, is retiring in October. There will be a new football chairman, so it'll be interesting to see how that kind of aspect of Section 5 develops too.
And I believe that was one of the talking points and the justification for the Wayne Finger Lakes Football League was moving away from the federation scheduling and going back to more of the traditional league play where you play the opponents that are down the road from you. Because for some teams, it's a lot of traveling. If you're on one side of Wayne County and you're going all the way out to Batavia, it's a lot closer to go down the road and play a rival. So
no, that's a point, and I think it's especially true in some of the smaller classifications, Class B, Class C, Class D. And I know there's a lot of excitement in the Finger Lakes where Waterloo and Minders, two teams on the eastern part of Section 5, are going to play this season after not playing the last couple of years. Newark is right there too, so that they will play those teams. And we saw Newark has put some pretty good teams on the field against HFL with some talented players in the last few years. So it's going to be interesting to keep your eye on just how that independent Wayne Finger Lakes League functions.
And I think the intent is, I can't remember exactly what the timeline, but they want to, I believe, at some point return to being able to be eligible for sectionals. This is just a reset for some of these programs that have had limited success. Rebuild the programs. It's tough. It's tough to get kids to play, when they know that they're going to play a school that's bigger than them and they're going to have difficulty. So it's hard to keep guys committed to a program that way. So they're hoping that this reset gives them a much-needed opportunity to maybe rekindle some crosstown rivalries.
Crosstown rivalries, kind of rebuild programs. And you're also seeing a lot more of merge teams. The Newark team has some players from Marion on it. And we've spoken to Robert Zayas, my friend Jeff DeVeronica, and I over the last year. And one of the biggest priorities in both New York State and Section 5 is participation numbers. They're trying to figure out ways to increase the number or maintain the number of participation, and we see that in football where Caledonia Mumford Byron Burgeon is playing 8-man football this year. That would have been unheard of 25 years ago. To think that Cal Mum would be in a situation where their football program, as proud as it is playing 8-man.
So 4th and, call it 22 yards for Monroe.
That was kind of our big picture look at Section 5 football, huh?
Specifically, I'll say the small school.
Yeah, and that's a lot where a lot of our attention is focused, on those storylines. And, Coach Russ played at HFL back when it was in the Livingston County League. He played in those rivalry games where HFL and Livonia and Avon, some of his top memories were there. So he knows both sides of the coin. And HFL several years ago went independent too, just to try and get that reset that you mentioned.
Yeah, I would say HFL is kind of a prime example of a team that's benefited from the Federation schedule. I know when I was at HFL, that was the beginning of of the Class B years and having to go and play the Greece schools, Eastridge, Brighton, Victor. You know, it's the same sort of argument that's being made by the Class B schools that are going to play the independent schedule in the Wayne Finger Lakes League.
For sure. And in the end, it's about getting the numbers of the participation and keeping kids active and building that school spirit and keeping it fun.
So turnover on downs. HFL will get the ball in Monroe territory at the 44-yard line. Another change at quarterback for the Cougars. This time it's Holden Cam. The junior quarterback checks in for HFL.
Holden also with good size, 6'2", 180 listed at. And there's Jerry again with the carry. Jerry with the carry.
Lant there, unable to get back to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, that Monroe defensive front still bringing it.
So we close in on a minute in the fourth quarter. Seems like HFL is just going to take their time here.
Probably have to snap it twice more, maybe just once.
High snap over Cam's head. Bouncing ball.
Oh, that was
They're all trying to scoop
get
it
the
up.
scoop and score, right? Robert Arnold was looking for the scoop and score. Eventually, Monroe's able to fall on it.
Yep, looks like number 55 for the Red Jackets. That's Jakeem Riggs.
I mean, in as much as like Coach Russ will not want to see on this film, I definitely that's the center position is going to be a point of emphasis this week in getting that figured out.
Both teams.
Yep.
With about 30 seconds left to go, we'll see if Monroe comes out and runs anything or if they just elect to take a kneel down.
They did. They put Moses back in to take the final snap. And just 54-6 is going to be our final here tonight, Peter. And just an impressive showing by the Monroe Red Jackets.
Statement win. Coming out, playing with a purpose, giving HFL probably their most defeating loss at home in probably since COVID, I'd say. And I think they put the rest of Class B on notice.
And not just in Section 5. I think that this is the kind of win that when people start to, and I know that they're, not scientific, but when with state polls and they always talk about it in college football too, right? You gotta pass the eye test and things like that, and Monroe certainly did tonight.
So any other closing thoughts?
I think that we've touched on it a little bit during the game. I think just for HFL, it's remember Batavia's next Friday. Get rested, get healthy, have a good week of practice, and come out and compete.
And as you mentioned, Batavia next week for the Cougars. That game will be carried live on the Sentinel with kickoff at, I believe, 7 o'clock. That'll be a highly anticipated matchup, and as you mentioned, will give us a great insight as to where the Cougars compare to some of the other contenders in Class B. So with that final score, 54-6, it's the Red Jackets over the Cougars here at HFL. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Mendon-Honeoye Falls-Lima Sentinel live on YouTube. Until next time, I'm Peter Carosa, joined alongside Steve Bradley.